Many great empires have existed in the world. At different points in time, these empires emerged in different regions, expanded, and then eventually started becoming weak after a certain period, leading to their decline. They were replaced by another empire. History shows us that even the biggest empires, which were once extremely powerful, eventually became weak and came to an end. The Roman Empire, the Ottoman Empire, and the British Empire are some examples. Nowadays, people are also saying that the American Empire is in its decline phase. Please note that I said decline phase. What are these phases of empires? In this video, we'll understand exactly that. Friends, history reveals certain patterns that keep repeating. Basically, it has been observed that strong societies emerge from difficult circumstances and hardships. Through their discipline, strength, courage, and confidence, they generate wealth and power and achieve success. Then gradually, this wealth and success bring comfort. Comfort slowly weakens discipline, and eventually this weakness leads to decline. It has been observed that many empires in the past went through this same cycle. John Glubb, who was a British soldier and scholar, simplified this cycle into 6 stages. In 1976, Glubb wrote an essay called The Fate of Empires. In this essay, he divided the rise and fall of empires into 6 phases for better understanding. Today in this video, we'll look at this pattern of the rise and fall of empires. We'll discuss those 6 stages identified by Glubb that have been observed in the lifespan of many great empires. We'll also try to understand the decline of the American Empire through Glubb's model. So let us understand this on the blackboard. John Glubb, British soldier and scholar, wrote an essay called The Fate of Empires. In this essay, his argument was that powerful empires follow a cycle. In this cycle, there are 6 stages. His observation was that most empires survive for around 10 generations, or nearly 250 years. After this, they become weak from within and eventually collapse. According to Glubb, the reason behind this is that societies in the beginning are energetic, disciplined, and ready to make sacrifices. They have faced extremely difficult conditions. These harsh environments and difficult lives make people disciplined. They create courage within them, increase their endurance, and develop a sense of collective identity. These highly motivated and tough societies lay the foundation of a new empire. This is the first stage of an empire, the birth stage. Glubb calls this the stage of pioneers. In this stage, the efforts of the pioneers lead to the birth of a new empire. In this phase, people who have become strong after facing difficult conditions unite with each other for survival. These highly driven and motivated people are also ready to make personal sacrifices for duty and honor. Corruption remains very low. The focus stays on the expansion of the empire. This fills the existing power vacuum and marks the beginning of a new empire. So once the pioneers have laid the foundation, what happens next? Expansion and conquests. Therefore, the second stage is the stage of conquests. In this stage, the pioneer society becomes organized and starts expanding. Ambition rises among the people. A sense of societal pride emerges. With the help of strong leadership, discipline, and efficient institutions, they carry out territorial expansion. They achieve victory over weak and divided societies. Military and economic strength begin to increase. Administration becomes more effective. The process of establishing dominance begins. The entire focus remains on their collective mission. So the first stage was the pioneer stage. In this stage, the empire was born. The second stage is the conquest stage. In this stage, the empire begins to expand. After this comes the third stage, the commerce stage. In this stage, the focus shifts toward wealth creation. Now, how is huge wealth created? Through trade dominance. Therefore, trade routes are expanded in order to achieve the goal of economic prosperity. Efforts are made to establish maximum possible control. For example, the Romans controlled trade networks across Europe and the Mediterranean. During the 18th and 19th centuries, different colonial powers competed fiercely to control global sea trade. The British, French, Dutch, and Portuguese constantly clashed with one another. Colonial wars frequently took place for trade dominance. This happened because trade is the backbone of any empire. Control over trade networks generates immense wealth, increases military might, and provides political stability. Therefore, in the third stage, efforts are made to establish trade dominance. Financial innovation begins to emerge. Banking grows. Infrastructure improves. Since infrastructure is essential to sustain trade, roads, ports, canals, railways, and similar systems are all developed and expanded. Economic growth becomes visible. Wealth starts increasing. The merchant class begins to rise. A new social class emerges that gains wealth and influence. According to Glubb, this is where a major transformation begins. Once money enters the equation, a significant change can be observed. Societies that once valued discipline, sacrifice, honor, and duty now begin to value profit more highly. Exploitation of resources and labor starts increasing in pursuit of profit. These are the characteristics of the third stage, the commerce stage. After this comes the fourth stage, the stage of affluence. In the third stage, people begin valuing profit more than sacrifice. By the fourth stage, wealth becomes the main social goal of the people. New generations born into prosperity no longer remember the hardships and struggles of earlier generations. This is because they never have experienced difficult environments themselves. They are born into comfort. According to Glubb, when comfortable conditions exist and every luxury is available, society gradually begins to lose discipline. It starts forgetting its collective purpose. The sense of civic duty and sacrifice begins to decline. Military spirit weakens. Complacency starts to emerge. A culture of luxury and consumerism begins to grow. Society's attention increasingly shifts toward entertainment. Entertainment, consumption, celebrity culture, branding, and similar trends begin to dominate public life. In a way, the entire focus shifts toward enjoying immense wealth. Glubb's observation was that societies move from a spirit of discipline and sacrifice toward comfort and enjoyment, and in the process, they begin to lose their strength. A united and purpose-driven society, after becoming enormously wealthy, gradually becomes complacent. After the fourth stage, the stage of affluence, comes the fifth stage, the stage of intellect. By this point, the empire has become extremely wealthy and highly advanced. It is at the peak of its creativity. Science, philosophy, arts, and education are all flourishing. Academic growth is taking place. Technological innovation is happening. Scientific discoveries are being made. Hence the name, the intellect stage. Glubb viewed this stage as the beginning of decline for any society. He believed that intellectualism gradually weakens traditional values. Traditional virtues such as courage, discipline, and loyalty begin to be replaced by intellectual debates. A shift in values can be observed. Collective unity and shared values start becoming weaker. Intellectual elites begin challenging established authority. This leads to fragmentation within society. Polarization in society starts increasing. The result is a loss of unity. Inequality within society also begins to rise. The gap between elites and ordinary people starts widening. According to Glubb, excessive criticism, cynicism, and division caused by intellectualism weaken the cohesion and resilience of society. The decline of the empire begins. After this comes the sixth and final stage, the stage of decadence. At this point, the empire has become internally weak. People begin prioritizing their private comfort instead of collective survival. Civic responsibility is gradually forgotten. People become obsessed with luxury, comfort, and entertainment. Polarization within the society increases enormously, and shared identity takes a backseat. Corruption reaches extreme levels. Trust begins to decline. The characteristics of the decadence stage are selfishness, love of money, and loss of duty. The spirit of hardship and sacrifice almost disappears from the people. As a result, military and political fragility increase significantly. Economic mismanagement grows. Internal fragmentation increases. All of this eventually leads to the collapse of the empire. The empire gradually disappears, and another rising power filled with a new founding spirit replaces it. In this way, the cycle continues. According to Glubb, this entire cycle, these 6 stages, lasts for roughly 10 generations. 10 generations or nearly 250 years. Friends, this is not an exact formula. It was John Glubb's personal observation. Basically, he was trying to say that difficult conditions make people strong, but wealth and comfort eventually make them soft. And then another strong group replaces them. Obviously, reality is far more complex than this. Glubb explained it in a simplified way to make it easier to understand. Clearly, no single model can explain the collapse of all empires. There are many factors behind the collapse of empires, such as geography, foreign invasions, climate change, disease, technological shifts, resource shortages, and many others. It is not necessary that the 250-year timeline applies strictly in every case. The Byzantine Empire lasted for more than 1,000 years. The Roman Empire, the Ottoman Empire, and the British Empire all lasted for far more than 250 years. Therefore, empires also adapt, and many times they successfully stretch themselves through reforms. So the idea of 250 years is not a strict rule. It is also not necessary that advanced and intellectual societies always move toward decay. Advanced societies can also be innovative, resilient, and peaceful. Therefore, Glubb's theory certainly describes a pattern, but it cannot precisely predict when an empire will decline. Many empires recover after crisis. Many empires also reinvent themselves technologically and politically. Therefore, history is not always linear. Now, if we view the American empire through the lens of Glubb's model, the United States has completed around 250 years. It is also true that in today's American society, signs of political polarization can be seen. High consumerism can be observed. Institutional distrust can be seen. Rampant corruption and cultural fragmentation are also visible. US government debt is at record levels. Wealth concentration and inequality have reached extreme levels. Civic trust in the media, Congress, and corporations is declining. Personal comfort and entertainment matter more than civic duty and national cohesion. Collective resilience appears weaker. Because of this, many scholars believe that the American empire is declining. However, many other scholars also believe that the American empire is simply transforming. It is still extraordinarily powerful. America's military remains very strong. Its technological leadership is also very strong. Therefore, the rise of China can definitely be seen, but it still cannot be said when the American empire will collapse. Since the end of World War II, the level of military, economic, technological, and cultural dominance that America has enjoyed across the world has never been seen before in history. The global reach of the American military is unmatched. The dominance of the US dollar is unparalleled. The soft power of the United States is immense. Therefore, the decline of the American empire will depend on its adaptability and its ability to reinvent itself. This is because today's circumstances are completely different. The American empire is fundamentally different from the empires of the past. Today, the equation includes nuclear weapons, artificial intelligence, complex digital networks, and global supply chains, all of which did not exist in earlier empires. Therefore, when people talk about the decline of the American empire, they are referring to relative decline, not complete collapse. It is certainly possible that America may become less dominant over time because of the rise of rivals, but it is highly likely that it will still remain a powerful state for a long time. In a multipolar world, it will certainly remain one of the major poles of power.